So once Temujin gained the power as the chief of the tribe, he started ravaging neighboring villages and he started massacring his brothers and sisters that were of the Mongol lineage. His main agenda was to create a Mongol state and to make all the Mongol people come under one banner. But that was not all of his agendas. His main thing was first to get all the Mongol people under one banner, to stop fighting against each other and to follow him as a leader and to take over the world. Now, to unite whole of Mongolia, he had to kill the Tartars. The Tartars were the tribe people who used to live in the southern steppes of Mongolia, and they were great enemies of the Mongol Empire. So Genghis Khan hired lots of generals and gained a lot of support from their soldiers. He attacked the tribes and had a great victory against the Tartars. So now he had killed even Jamuka, which he had found with the Tartars. Then Jamuka had gone to the Nayans, that was in the upper steppes of the Mongol Empire. Now his main agenda was the Nayans, and if he defeats the Nayans, he would gain control of the entirety of Mongolia. So just through this agenda, he went straight at it, gained an allegiance of about 50,000 soldiers and lots of horsemen, and absolutely massacred the Nayans. And then due to this, he created a Mongol state where all the Mongol people were united under one empire. And Temujin gained the name of Genghis Khan. So once he united all the Mongolian people under one banner, he set his eyes on China. Then to go to China, he had to go to the buffer state of Xixia. That time the Xixian capital was Yuchuan. And Yuchuan was a very well fortified city at that time. And it was the Tartars, the people who had defeated before this, to gain the control of entire Mongolia. So to defeat them, he started raiding lots of cities in the northern Chinese region, and finally he laid siege to the capital of Yinshuan. For over a year, he laid siege to this capital, but was not able to take it. So then he prayed to Tengri, the religion that he follows, and he got signs that he should not lay siege, but there's a river that goes across the city from the other direction. So the gods told him to stop the flow of water and to direct it towards the city. That was the only way he could win. So Genghis Khan got right to it. He started laying logs, and his whole army went to stop the river, and he threw the entirety of the force of the river into the city and flooded it. Immediately the Tartars, the inhabitants of northern Xixia, surrendered. Then his gates to northern China, he crossed the Great Wall of China, and then the gates to Xanadu opened. If you're asking what is Xanadu, Xanadu is modern day Beijing. It was the capital of the Qing Empire at that time. So if he takes Xanadu, he will be the king of not only Mongolia but even China. So immediately he gained his support of his commanders, and he had loyal commanders such as Chabe, Sobutai, and his main brother, that is Tolui. He gained support of all these three generals and most loyal people, and he could take over the world. So now he started going towards Xanadu. He started raiding camps. He started putting blockades along the Silk Route and created all sort of restrictions on the Qing Empire. Not immediately, after a year or so of ravaging, pillaging, massacring the Chinese people, he gained control of China. So now he had an empire that controlled entirety of Mongolia and China. Now we go to the second part of his story, where he wanted to gain access to Europe. The European nations had embargoed him or didn't even know that the Mongol Empire existed at that time. So to create this, he wanted to conquer all of Europe. And to go to Europe, there was the Khwarezm Empire. The Khwarezm Empire was ruled by a Shah, and it was very powerful. It was from modern day Pakistan all the way to Turkey. So it was a large empire across the Caspian Sea, almost reaching the Black Sea as well. So now, Genghis Khan had a, task in his palm. So he didn't want to attack the Khwarezm Empire, but he wanted to gain access through them to attack the Europeans. He sent envoys to the Shah, but they were killed. Genghis Khan would have thought it was a mishap, but sent more envoys asking for peace and telling that we would just want to pass through and we don't want anything to do with your people. But this time the Shah, as a sign of aggression, he beheaded the envoys and sent them to Genghis Khan. This infuriated Genghis Khan and told his most loyal commanders, Chebe Sobutai and his brother Tolui, to ransack all the Muslim people. So they first, in 1216, he ransacked Bukhara. Then Chebe and Subutai took over Baghdad. They destroyed and demolished almost the entirety city of Baghdad, Bukhara, and the University of Samarkand. This showed the ruthlessness that Genghis Khan has. After these major defeats that the Shah faced, he had to surrender and had no power. Genghis Khan had now ruled a land that was stretching from the Pacific Ocean to the Caspian Sea. That was about the size of entirety of Africa, North America, or Europe. So just imagine, he had the largest land-living empire that the world has ever seen. So then, if you ask about his death, no one knows where he's buried. It was a custom in Mongolian culture that no one should know where they're buried. So Genghis Khan died in the year 1226 when he was suppressing an uprising by the Tanguts in the northern steppes. So supposedly some texts say that he had fallen off from a horseback, but there are other things saying that he was poisoned and some telling that his most loyal soldier Chebe had killed him. We don't exactly know the correct or the perfect one to tell unless we find his body or find the riches that he was buried with. So thank you for watching. This is the entirety of Genghis Khan's life in a nutshell. There's a lot more about the lineage of Genghis Khan and his future successors. You will, if you see and you go to Wikipedia, you'll get to know about Kublai Khan. He was the first emperor of the Qing dynasty. Then you will learn about Hulagu Khan. He was the Khan of the Ilkhanate. Then you know about Berke Khan. Berke Khan was the Khan of the Golden Horde. Then you have Arik Bokhe. Arik Bokhe was the emperor of modern day Mongolia, but he was defeated by Kublai Khan in a civil war. So after Genghis Khan's death, he had given the throne to his third eldest son, Ogadai Khan. Once Ogadai Khan's death happened, and Ogadai Khan in fact went all the way to modern day Poland, and he almost ransacked all the villages, and he even killed the Prince of Georgia on the way. So all this had happened, and then there was a civil war between the grandsons of Genghis Khan, which was not a very good sight. The grandsons of Genghis Khan had split the whole Mongol empire that he had created into 5 states. There was the Mongol Empire headed by Arik Bokhe. Then there was the Qing dynasty headed by Kublai Khan. There was the Chagatai Khanate headed by Chagatai himself. Then there was the Ilkhanate headed by Hulagu Khan and the Golden Horde headed by Berke Khan. I can't wait to talk more about this. I love this subject. If you do love this subject, please give a like and subscribe to this channel. It would help me a lot and give me a lot of confidence in the future. Thank you.